we had this question from VH2Q on YouTube who wanted to know where the GM engine was. What's the point of Cadillac coming in and not having their own engine? Which I can understand the question, because you look at the listings of the teams and you see things like Aston Martin and you think, oh, that's great. And then it's Honda. So it gets a little bit confusing. Can you shed some light onto what's going on with the Cadillac program, Ben, to help VH2Q out?
Yeah, I think that we need to remember that their permission to join F1 was only granted about 12 months ago, something like that, not long ago. And in order to be on the grid, you have to be a manufacturer of your own right. That means all the parts have to be designed and built yourself for the chassis, which they've done. And if you think that they started with one or two people and now they've got a factory or a couple of factories in the UK, and they've got about 700 people, they've got a full race team, they've got all the equipment, all the purchasing equipment set up, all the IT infrastructure, sponsors, partnerships, I could go on. That's a hell of a lot of building to be done. Formula One allows the provision for a technical partnership, so you can be a customer. You can buy certain components, gearbox and engine off alternative suppliers. This is what we saw with Haas when Haas first came into Formula One, and that relationship still remains with Ferrari. GM are building a giant plant in Indiana, which is where the engine will be built as long with the car. So a bit like Mercedes and Ferrari, where you have the team producing both units, you're going to be seeing the same with GM. But of course, all these things take time. They're building a factory. They can't build it in 12 months, I'm afraid. But they are starting with the progress. They are moving in that direction. And ultimately, in around about probably 4 to 5 years, you probably will see a GM engine on the grid, and hopefully it's competitive.
And I'm assuming by this point, Ben, we'll see that level of operation also working well, because starting a new team from scratch, this isn't rebranding, and I'm not taking anything away from Audi, who did tremendously in the first race with at least one of the cars. This is going from me and you saying, you know what, we've just inherited a few $100 million. Shall we lose it all and start a Formula One team? And that is what you have to go from, right? You're then recruiting people who maybe worked in F1 in the past, or you're not necessarily getting the top people in. You're hiring a couple of drivers who've been out of the sport for a season or two. These are the sort of things that you're doing, that are happening, that you then go and say, right, we'll sort the engine out and we can make our own, but we don't even know Formula One at the moment, so we will look to external help and figure out what ducks we need to put in which order before we go into it. That's what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You've got to learn to walk before you can run. I think that there is a lot of experience in that Cadillac team, and a lot of experience at setting up small teams as well. And I think that's crucial, because while this is a small team at the moment, it will become a much bigger team. And I think, for me, the interesting project is in that 5 years or so time, once the factory is operating in the US, because this is now a fully functioning US owned and run Formula One team. And most of all these other teams, of course, are based in Europe, mainly in the UK, because that's where the technical hubs are and the experience is. And of course, Cadillac are looking to do something different. And I think that that's really cool. It's a real big challenge, and I do hope they succeed, because it's about Formula One growing and also serving that identity for the US audience. And I'm fascinated just to see where this project ends up.
Yeah, me too. I love how long-term they're looking as well, because we have seen teams come into the sport and then disappear very quickly in the past. So hopefully VH2Q, that answers your question. And if you have another question that you'd like, well, probably Ben, but either of us to tackle, please let us know in the comments below.